fourth wall.
Ooh, we are back. Let's go. 250 episodes of AEW Dynamite, fellas.
Yes, sir. 250 episodes of Dynamite. It's a crazy thing to have been there since the beginning of the company's existence. That's not a thing I ever experienced before, but
isn't it cool?
That's really crazy, right? I came into TNA and already existed. Obviously, WWE already existed. WCW and ECW were dead. So like this is very cool. 250 episodes and going strong. No signs of like dying off. You know, like we're still good. I might be able to take this one with me. But I
make it the whole way.
I had fun. Fun episode of Dynamite. I didn't enjoy the crowd very much, but they was weird. Petition to never come back to Arkansas. No,
that's exactly what it was. It's because they're in Arkansas of all places. Who goes to Arkansas? When you look it out, don't you write it out as Arkansas? Why would you want to go back to Arkansas?
Too polite. Y'all got to get rowdy, get loud. When you go back there, don't disgrace yourself.
Screaming the whole episode is all it should be.
They let poor Mariah May down too. She's talking to silence. They're all listening. I was like, fuck.
Well, I was kind of in silence watching, listening.
I just felt very underwhelmed by that crowd in that moment.
But yeah, shit. What are we doing tonight, Nick?
Oh, let me tell you what we're going to be doing, fellas. We're going to be going through the 250th episode of AEW Dynamite. But you know what? I think before we get there, I think it'd be really fun to throw everybody under the bus on the spot. We didn't plan this at all, and we probably should have beforehand, but I literally am just thinking of this right now. Fellas, 250 episodes of Dynamite. What are some of your favorite moments overall?
Oh, that's easy. I have an easy one. I was at AEW Grand Slam, the first one. Brian versus Kenny, just being there. That atmosphere, man. Walking into that building, it felt like something special, but just... I know everybody talks about that moment on TV, like Brian and Kenny staring each other down and everybody just screaming. Like, imagine being the screamers. Like, that was insane. Right. That was incredible. I don't have a better moment than that.
This isn't my favorite, but this is a cool one that I just remembered because this was like just after the pandemic kind of slowed down. It was the who remembers the Danielson Suzuki match?
Oh God, yeah, hell yeah!
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about some Suzuki stuff earlier while watching a segment. I won't say until we get to it, and that popped in my head. And I was like, "Oh my God, that was like the day after, like Rules died down, or like the show after." So, and that was a good match too. So I'll give that one for one of my favorites.
I love you, Caesar, but that was that was a YouTube exclusive moment that took place before a Rampage. For a Rampage episode. Baby. That's the wrong show, son.
Oh, gotta think of another one.
Okay. I'll think of another one.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I can go over one of the ones that comes to mind for me. Let me just say, fellas, winter is coming.
Oh man,
yo, when Sting showed up and you heard Tony Schiavone on TNT for the first time in decades be able to yell, "It's Sting!" Like, that was so cool. That moment literally broke the internet, and it broke my mind because literally every single person was like, "What's Sting doing here? Like, is he gonna be wrestling? No way." We saw him basically get destroyed to the point where he'll never wrestle again.
Bro, everybody thought it was Glacier for like for a few minutes. Like.
That's right, because there was that whole thing. Because remember, Glacier has been a part backstage. You still to this day will see Glacier backstage at AEW.
I remember, like I said, thinking it was Glacier, but just the whole thing coming together. Like, winter is coming, but winter was actually Sting, and like he kept the winter thing the whole time he was in AEW too. Oh, that was awesome.
Which honestly, like, I never thought about Sting and like winter and snow ever being associated, but it felt like such a natural fit. I mean, too, think about it, like frostbite stings, you know, so it makes sense too.
I love it. I miss him. I hate talking like this.
I miss him so much. I know, that was such a great moment. I will get back to some it's Sting later, because there's a couple Sting references throughout the show, which I definitely appreciated.
Shit. Might as well let me pull up that Twitter for you. Might as well get into it.
Caesar, do you have your moment?
I don't know if this is like not a match, but a pretty cool moment. Yes, it was from a Dynamite, so no one put a gun to my head. I looked at my notes. Was the debut of the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo. That was pretty cool because that was also a moment when Mariah May was full heel before another time when she became full heel again.
That was a really cool time period too, because you could tell the winds of change were there for the whole women's division, and it needed it too. So I appreciated that moment a lot.
They did.
Oh, fellas, you know what another great one is? I think the whole episode itself. I mean, we even got a little bit of a reference to it on WWE Raw. It was the Brody Lee tribute show.
No,
that whole episode was one of the best tribute shows I've ever seen, and it's the unfortunate truth of being a longtime wrestling fan is we have seen quite the amount of tribute shows, unfortunately, and that one was done so well, and they did such a great job memorializing Brody Lee. So that's one of the best moments throughout AEW when it comes down to like just purely great shows. Going to something a little bit more controversial, I also think back to Hangman and Punk going at it in their promo battle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Not knowing
workers' rights,
knowing what it is, like knowing what he was saying. Because I remember being confused with Greg. Like we were like, what? Well, like what was Hangman talking about? Like we were missing a piece of information, and we couldn't figure out what it was. But he was clearly angry about something. Like knowing what he's talking about now and going back and watching the promo, that was a fucking awesome moment in AEW history. Probably one that CM Punk fans aren't really fond of, but
a controversial one.
I loved it.
Oh, let's see. Oh, speaking of Winter is Coming, you know, I think back to also Kenny Omega dethroning Jon Moxley.
Don Callis going down with throwing the flowers in the air. Excellent moment.
Yeah, those are some of my moments, fellas. Oh, we lost John there. Caesar, got any more moments that really stand out to you?
I can't remember if this is like on a pay-per-view or is this an actual COVID episode of Dynamite? But do you remember the Mimosa match? OC versus Chris Jericho.
Why do I want to say that was a pay-per-view? But I think they did some build-up to it, though, with the Mimosa on Dynamite. So I will allow this.
Yeah, it was still interesting, some of the stuff they did to keep us actually going during the pandemic and actually keeping our attention going. So, or, actually, speaking of moments, when Matt Hardy debuted.
That was another crazy one.
Unfortunately, it's an empty room, but what can you do? Especially with all the rules going on.
Huge shout out to our boy Mac. We love him. Also, let's get a happy birthday shout out to Dirt Sheet Radio superfan David Streeter. Let's
got a banner to put up?
Woo! We're about to.
Someone's got to put up a banner for that. I can't.
Oh, don't worry, I can.
Imagine being able to.
It's a power.
Guys, you can hear him typing.
And chat, let me say too, chat, what are your favorite AEW Dynamite moments from the last 250 episodes?
What are your favorite Nick moments?
Oh, that too. Like, if you have any favorite ones.
Yeah, we need those Nick moments.
Happy birthday, David Streeter!
Let's go. Woo! We need an air horn. You think by now we'd have an air horn?
We could mess around with the music, but I kind of like the hip hop backdrop that we got.
No, I feel like taking it off would upset Mac. Just Mac. That's the only person we're going to be worried about right now.
Only Mac. Let's see too. Like, I was trying to think of some of the other AEW Dynamite moments. One of the 100 things too that we need to talk about, and this is why I said 100, because I think AEW did a fantastic job when the pandemic hit on being able to maintain people's attention within pro wrestling and show that we could still do a wrestling show through times with no fans.
It was interesting because, like, when I first got into AEW, I was like, how are they doing shows, but they have fans? And then it all made sense. They had people from behind the scenes coming out to the ringside. And then, again, like you were saying, there were people I had never heard of that were on during the pandemic shows that actually kept my attention span going. Like, I'd get off work and be like, okay, I need to get home, get the show on, put my feet up, and watch these 2 hours of wrestling. So
yeah.
The biggest difference between WWE pandemic content and AEW pandemic content is that WWE pandemic content feels like it's non-canon. Like I never want to think about that. I never want to go back and think about the Thunderdome.
Skip that era.
Like there's
Thunderdome.
the only Thunderdome moment I care about is the Roman Reigns Tribal Chief debut. That's it. Any Tribal Chief Roman Reigns development, that's the only fucking stuff that matters. And even then, it got a little weird with the talking to the camera stuff, but it was fine. Like,
what, John? You don't appreciate retribution?
Oh, fuck off. Meanwhile, I always thought the AEW pandemic stuff was like where they learned how to tighten, like where Tony Khan learned how to book. Essentially, like that's like what it was. He learned how to tighten it. He took the book from the elite and he actually learned how to be a booker. And that's that's actually what happened. Like we've chronicled that, over and over and over again. And you can find information on that all over, but especially on the Dirt Street Radio podcast. Yeah.
Specifically.
Oh yeah. And another thing too to remember is in that era specifically, it was kind of rough because remember too, AEW is just starting out. A lot of people were thinking that like, oh no, this pandemic is going to kill AEW. They'll never be able to survive through this, which I mean is understandable because at the time everyone remembers just how uncertain everything was, right? And look at what happened with the XFL. So a lot of people thought it was going to go the way of the dodo, but honestly, I think that was something that they definitely were able to survive through. And I also going to shout out to Mac Burns. So, when Cody Rhodes ended racism.
No, when Cody Rhodes ended Anthony Ogogo's career.
Exactly.
That didn't take much.
The way it was a different part from I think when the end racism promo, but huge appreciation for our boy Cody Raheem Rhodes.
Yeah, that's a great moment for the origin of that at least.
Absolutely.
But we might as well talk about today's Dynamite.
Raheem.
Why? This is hard. Nick, you're gonna have to be in charge of the comments. I don't see any of these. They don't come up. That's crazy.
Don't worry, we'll get this.
Maybe I'm
John
not.
got excluded.
I feel like that's always a thing too, where I think if like one of us is signed in, the other person has difficulties because a lot of times this is for all of you who wonder what goes on behind the scenes. When I signed in to here after you were on, John, I have like no control over like the pictures that can pop up or anything.
Oh shit! Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, well, fuck.
We're learning.
Well, fuck. It's all good. Nick is good with this stuff, but
as we go, fellas, this is a great episode of AEW Dynamite. We just talked about a lot of what the last 250 episodes meant for us. Huh?
I said, what the fuck? There's nothing on the screen. There it is. Hello.
There we go.
It's Kevin.
Leave Kevin out of this.
Look at that. Literally, I appreciate all the Sting references throughout Dynamite, but especially it's Darby. You shout out to money there.
Well, I guess talking about the Death Triangle in Arena Mexico next Saturday.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
But this is huge. This is Penta and Phoenix working CMLL in Arena Mexico.
Who are they against? Does it say? Doesn't
It's just the announcement.
Yeah, it's just
give us the damn match.
Speaking of massive moments, Mac brings up another great moment through the history of Dynamite and the debut of Eddie Kingston. Some guy that basically was going to be quitting wrestling, sell everything, all the memorabilia, get a 9-to-5, be done with it. And he comes in and becomes one of the best characters in all of AEW.
Eddie Kingston
and a triple crown.
Eddie Kingston's whole AEW career is just this beautiful mistake that should never have happened that everyone capitalized off of, and it's just awesome. I love that Eddie Kingston was able to have that.
That's so cool. That was the person's kid.
Oh yeah, fuck. That was my 7-year-old who just punched MJF on live TV.
That's great.
I love how Ospreay didn't know what MJF was gonna do here, and he's like, he thought he was gonna hit the little girl. He thought if you watch Ospreay after, he grabs MJF's hand like, what the fuck?
Like, no, Bro, no.
Don't do it.
He let him go. He let him go, and he realized it was just a middle finger. But like his parent instinct was like, "Oh, like what is happening?"
Those dad reflexes. Yes, Mac, the first American Triple Crown champion. That was such a cool moment. Like you could feel almost that moment where they made the call with Shawn Michaels, where it's like the boyhood dream has come true.
I love that it was only for Eddie Kingston. That's how cool it was. It was like it was made specifically to make Eddie Kingston's dream come true of being a Triple Crown champion on television. There's a lot of things people say about Tony Khan, and for a lot of reasons. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong. But the guy is pretty much as good of a guy that you're gonna find in pro wrestling. It's
rare.
It's rare. It's rare. He pays Jake Roberts just so that Jake Roberts can have a steady income. Because he's Jake Roberts, and we know the history of Jake Roberts. He doesn't use him on TV at all. He doesn't expire his contract either. He renewed it. That's really crazy stuff. But yeah.
I do hope that because of the employment, and this isn't me wanting them to, force Jake to work or anything, but I would love if people who did have the opportunity to, be able to at least like text and video chat with Jake, because that is a major aspect. And we want to talk about the proverbial learning tree that AEW has, not talking just Chris Jericho, but I am talking about all of the legends behind the scenes in AEW, like just being able to have Jake the Snake Roberts, the master of the subtle promo. Like that is such a huge resource that I hope a lot of the wrestlers are taking up on.
All right, so I'm going to grab this from you for 1 second, Nick, because I have I had some things to say about not just the main event, but kind of everything surrounding it, the story and everything going into Blood and Guts. And I'm gonna mix some elements of tonight's show in to kind of tell a story here.
Love it. Let's do it.
Earlier in the night, Swerve Strickland and Mark Briscoe had the Acclaimed join Team AEW. Yeah. So that leaves one spot left, and we come to this main event. We have Swerve versus Okada. Swerve champion versus champion. You had to imagine there wasn't going to really be a finish to a match like this one, but it was still, Okada has this way of wrestling when he knows that it's not going to be like a 25-minute Okada match. So you can kind of tell, like, as soon as the match starts, like, Okada's sleepwalking. It's going to be one of those. And that's only like a subtle eye. Like if you've watched Okada for a long time, then you're like, whatever. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but my problem is not with Okada or this match. So the match ends when the Elite jump Swerve, which leads to the Acclaimed coming out. That leads to Jack Perry and everybody getting involved. Darby eventually comes down on the rafters. Hangman comes out. It's when Hangman's music hit that I realized that I don't care about anything else in this story. Like, I don't care about the Elite versus Team AEW. The Acclaimed is on Team AEW. I don't care about this feud like right now. I know there's a lot of Acclaimed fans, and I'm sorry if I'm hurting your feelings, but they were in a position where I wanted to see them as part of this feud. They were not they were kind of on the bottom of the card doing nothing for a while after losing. Well, they lost the trios belts after doing nothing with them for a long time. And then now they're just thrusted into this big thing. And I imagine Tony Khan is feeling loyal to the Acclaimed because they are really part of the heart of AEW. And they were one of the gimmicks that he developed himself from the beginning. And
they went super viral.
They went viral, but I felt like it was already at the end of its rope. And this attempt to put some significance on them is way too late. I feel like they Max says the Acclaim. I got a comment. Very nice. And the only one before that is Cody Go Away.
Wow, there's like a huge gap in there.
Yeah. So Max says the Acclaim being in this ruined Blood and Guts. And While I don't know if it's gonna ruin the match or not, I know that it kind of ruined the way I felt about it. I'm not hyped for this at all. The Acclaimed. This is the least hype I've been for AEW War Games Blood and Guts match since they started it, and I'm sure that it's gonna end up good, and the Acclaimed will probably show out, and Max Caster is probably gonna do the greatest blade job of his life, and like. I'm sure we'll be talking about it differently next week. But right now, my hype levels going into this shit, I'm not excited.
If you were to pull the Acclaimed, who would you guys put in as the replacement?
What the fuck? FTR is right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't FTR literally just come back too?
I thought that's why they came back.
Yeah, unless that was meant to be like a red herring, which was weird seeing clean shaven Cash Wheeler.
I know. I thought that was weird too.
I'm not used to that.
Nobody is. We're like, who's that?
Is it bad that like my biggest hope in all of this is to get the swerve, bro? You gotta let it play out to get the swerve, and I'm thinking that like Bowens betrays Caster for the Elite. Like, I want something. I want something more from Bowens and all this because I feel like Caster is holding my man Bowens back. You know.
But they're gonna, I guess, like I can't. I don't want to see Bowens on the Elite or Caster on the Elite. I would like them to have their own thing. Like if we're gonna do anything with the Acclaim, make it be within itself. Why the fuck are we? I don't know.
Here's my point in there though is he doesn't have to be a part of like the Elite itself. Like he could just be one of the associates, like Christian Cage or Mercedes Moné.
Or it's just, I guess just tired. I'm turning on you. I'm not with the Elite.
Yeah, because now the Elite will give me the opportunity that you've been holding me back from, Caster.
They're gonna have to just say that they paid him. Like that's the easiest way to make it go across to wrestling fans to avoid criticism for no reason. Just be like, we paid you to turn on him, and he's like, I was tired of you anyway. And then that would work because otherwise I don't really want to see them here, and I don't. And here's the thing. Here's the worst thing for me. Here's the biggest problem. After this Blood and Guts, that's the trajectories going in. What are the trajectories going in? All in into Wembley. Are you fucking telling me? Are you telling me right now?
Oh no!
That the Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks is going to take place in front of 50,000 people at Wembley Stadium?
Apparently.
That's what we're doing? No.
Oh, I just had a psychic flash all of a sudden. You know who I would love to replace the Acclaimed with in this? And the first one's going to be controversial, but look at how important he was to the Owen Hart tournament. I'm talking Jeff Jarrett. He works behind the scenes. He's a major part of AEW through and through. On top of that, Jay White is such an AEW guy right now, and both guys have something against the Elite and Hangman in particular. Those would have been two great people to throw in there.
I could see Jay White. I could see Jay White.
Especially because I feel like I just want everyone that like Hangman Page has like stepped on to get to this point,
I get this feeling that they thought they were going to get Motor City Machine Gun. Like,
aren't they still in talks or something about that?
No, the rumor first was that they had signed, and then nothing happened. Everybody's like, where the fuck is Motor City? And then it comes out like they didn't sign yet. And so somebody said they're going to WWE, but that didn't come from like a good source. And then Ciampa posted their picture on Instagram because he's champion. And so that stoked the fires that they're going to WWE. But they're taking new indie bookings like as late into like August and shit.
The anti-Vacour.
So I don't know if maybe they're, trying to like they've signed to WWE and they're just like hiding it or what's going on. But it felt like to me if they wanted the Acclaim versus the Young Bucks at Wembley Stadium or something, then it fell through. And now not the Acclaim, Motor City versus the Young Bucks at Wembley, and then it fell through, and now we're getting the Acclaimed.
Speaking of signings and rumors and whatnot, I've heard that the Von Erichs signed with AEW, at least for short term.
They are going to be doing stuff in the Dallas
Texas shows,
the Texas shows, because they're got, I guess, 6 weeks worth of ROH and collisions.
A month and a half.
Our boy Jesus is going to every single one of those, so look out for him.
Let's go.
I would have, if I was down in Texas, I would have. is it's really cool. It's a smaller building. It's a new esports arena. I would have liked to be in that intimate environment with the AEW wrestlers, but we'll see. They're also doing Death Before Dishonor at that pay-per-view. At that arena.
Is that another one that we will be going over on a stream, John?
It is in fact a show that we will be doing together.
Let's go.
These ROH pay-per-views are special. They belong to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about this Blood and Guts, the Elite right now. I love Okada. I love the segments. I love the fucking Mercedes thing they did earlier where he asked the Elite to get her to do the dance so that he thinks it's hot.
He was dying.
He is like hot.
Listen, bros. If they were to do some sort of romantic storyline between the two of them, I'd be okay with that.
He wouldn't survive.
Not even like a full-on storyline. They just got to be like associated with each other. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly. Hey, they got those acting backgrounds. They could do it. They could make it work.
They are.
He'd fold so quickly.
They're like. I don't know if Mercedes. I think they're both married, but it is.
Yeah, they are.
Wrestling. It's wrestling.
Exactly. Yo, ain't Okada with like one of the most prolific voice actresses?
Sure.
Yes, he is in Japan. Absolutely, they're moving to America. I feel like her fan base starting to kill him at one point, but that actually happened.
So
he's
got the right person that he can be talking to for acting lessons. Hey, it's all an act. It ain't real. I'm just saying they can make something out of this, and I support it. I would love to see it.
But as a whole, I don't know where this is going. I feel like it's stuck in stasis because Kenny Omega is out. Like there were all these plans to do Okada and Kenny and all this shit, I kind of feel like Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada was meant to be a Wembley Stadium match.
That would so totally be a Wembley match.
And Kenny's fucking diverticulitis kind of threw things off, and Tony Khan hasn't ever been the best at pivoting when he's got long-term plans. So I don't know that they know where they're going with the Elite right now at Wembley, but we'll see. What did you guys?
Speaking of the Elite too, we got that moment earlier in the night when Jack Perry's like, "You think I care about Brandon Cutler?" And then he just obliterates Brandon Cutler in the boiler room.
That was actually awesome, but then he didn't. He did that.
I'm gonna stay here. Come get me, Darby, and he doesn't stay there.
Yeah,
that right. He said there was like supposed to be a second part to that. Like he said, I killed. This is a sacrifice. If you want to see a sacrifice, like come see me, or something. Tonight, and they never did anything. They ran into each other by accident in the closing segment.
Yeah.
Where is Darby anyway? I feel like
does that open the door then to a potential future boiler room brawl between the two? Then
they'll call it something different.
That would be cool. They could call it that. There's no. I don't know if that's a trademark. I don't know if you can.
I don't think that's ever been trademarked.
I don't know if you can trademark that.
Still say featuring Brandon Cutler too.
Boiler room is too. It's just a term.
That's something like you might be able to do it as a phrase, but even then, you could just change it into like the brawl is happening in the boiler rooms and stuff like that, just to get around it.
Yeah.
Boiler
room fight.
Broiler brawl room.
Look at all this blood and guts happening in these two rings. You could say it's a cell, and there's hell in this cell.
But yeah, man, what did you guys think? I've talked enough about this. What did you guys think?
So, I got one to throw out there for you guys in regards to the whole Acclaim thing. So, if you watch back the video when the video about like all 5 of them fighting, sorry, all 10. If you watch Anthony Bowens, he was slapping security guards around and throwing them around. So that's what made me
go. A little heelish if someone wanted to accept some money from the Elite.
That's what I was seeing. I was sitting there and I'm like he took a couple guys, like clocked them, threw them, smashed a guy's head into a post, like heel
Bowens. I just want to see more from my man Bowens, because that was the big thing when the Acclaim first got together, because Bowens really wasn't much of a talker, or they didn't give him much of an opportunity. And that was the great thing with having Caster in there, because he could talk, he could do the raps, he can do anything that required a microphone. But then Bowman's improved. He got better. And then it's just like, why is he still with Caster at this point?
I feel like if he goes full heel and goes by himself, he'd be the kind of guy who'd wear a suit.
I could dig that. I could dig
for his angle.
Bowens. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier in the night was a lot of Sting references throughout the show.
Oh, there were lots.
First and foremost, obviously, the amount of times Tony was like, "It's," and then would say something elongated as he would. You had the moment where we talked about with Darby Allen descending from the rafters.
Did that feel delayed to you, or was it just me?
You know, it
Like
definitely did.
Cue.
I don't know if he missed the cue or because he's just high up. I think there was like a level of they wanted to make sure everything was hooked on completely right and whatnot.
They messed up. They missed the cue. One of the three.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it also takes time to get down there. And can we appreciate too Briscoe with his knuckles just completely all taped up, having to rush over and help Darby get the hook off of him?
I loved that because like it felt so like I've got your back. Like he came down, he grabbed it, took it off, and then just Darby went for it.
Which honestly, that's a great subtlety that you brought up there. Is the fact that Briscoe did without thinking, without hesitation, goes to help his teammate out. You know.
Well, that made it because when you do things like that, like in a play or whatever, that really made it work. I think it reminds me of a scene in Birdman. I don't know if you've ever seen Birdman with Michael Keaton, but there's a scene where he floats down from the sky and a dude walks behind him and you can see him grab the fucking hook and like do it in one quick motion. Like, but this was nowhere near as subtle as that, but story-wise, it hit it the same way. You would not even think twice about this person running up to him and unhooking him because, like you said, this is fucking friend. Of course, I would unhook this man. I don't know where he came from, but I would want to get him off of here.
It's gonna help us out.
No, exactly. And this is another one of the things that I want to mention is I'd say the biggest MVP for Team AEW is without a doubt Mark freaking Briscoe because that guy radiates that AEW energy. He
radiates. I want to fight people.
Exactly. He just radiates that it factor in spades. Like anytime he's on screen, and you have a lot of it factor wrestlers here, but of them all, Mark Briscoe's the one my eyes zero in on the whole time.
Do you guys remember that promo he did like maybe 2-3 weeks ago when it was like him, Kyle O'Reilly, and a few others, and he was just going off, and everyone's like, "What the hell is he on about?" He stopped Renee. He's like, "Excuse me, Renee," and then he just goes again. It's like, what?
I love him as an AEW character, but my problem is that he isn't on ROH enough. Like his storylines aren't on ROH. Like all his storylines are on AEW. They did a number one contenders match for a Ring of Honor World Title match at the pay-per-view on Collision. They did it like none of this stuff is happening on Ring of Honor TV. So like damn it. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mark Briscoe is excellent, too good not to have on TV, especially after keeping him off all those years on purpose.
Right.
But then, if he's going to be Ring of Honor champion, it can't just be window dressing for the AEW show. Like he's going to have to drop it to somebody who can be on Ring of Honor. There's a report that they're going to be putting some more focus into the Ring of Honor show, but it sounded like it was only going to be because they were going to do consecutive tapings at that Texas arena, and then people felt like that would lead to some coherent storytelling and people being used specifically for Ring of Honor. And I was like, that doesn't sound like it's going to last more than 6 weeks, but
nope.
We will see.
The vibe itself slows down. But yeah, one of the things too, like I was mentioning before, I kind of jumped up onto that Mark Briscoe tangent. We had more Sting references too. You had Britt Baker earlier in the night with the Sting mask on. You had elements where, we're talking about like, oh, someone's going to do the Scorpion Death Drop, things like that. So I appreciated that because Sting was another major factor for AEW. And if they weren't able to get him onto this show, I'm glad that he was referenced throughout it. Because again, he's probably one of the most integral legends for them, apart from maybe Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep sounding negative because ultimately I love pull apart brawl and I love seeing, I love seeing this shit. But I'm just kind of I felt empty for me tonight, this closing thing, aside from the cool Darby moment. And like I said, when Hangman's music hit, I finally felt something. Like I was like, oh, I'm moved. I felt emotion, and then they took it away, and I was like, fuck. And it wasn't like, that's not a bad thing. That's like on purpose, obviously. But I was like, fuck, motherfucker. It was also Okada. Did you notice that?
Okada was able to stop Swerve, and did you notice that Bowens was the one that grabbed Hangman?
Well, that was another weird thing. But I thought before Bowens grabbed the Hangman, I thought Okada was robbing. I thought he was stealing Swerve from him on purpose. Like I was like, oh shit, they're furthering that.
Because last week.
Yeah. But then Bowens grabbed him. It kind of ruined it for me. I was like, oh shit, okay, I guess not. Me telling too many stories in my own head.
But hey, maybe that could have been at least the start of something. And then Bowens just did a Bowens thing.
We will see. Interestingly, we spent all this time talking about these last segment in Dynamite because the first half of the show is a match.
One match. Okay. What would have happened if, how they did it with the first match being the whole first hour, but what if like Swerve and Okada were able to do like a full hour for the second half of Dynamite?
That would have been incredible.
That would be kind of cool. I won't lie.
That would have been cool as fuck. And
all night.
Normal. That would have been fucking awesome. No, there's some people who would not have been okay with that. That would have blew my mind. This would have been one of my favorite episodes of Dynamite in history. Like that would have been awesome.
Like I'm picturing it now. Like you do like the 1 hour match, have like a learning tree segment, have Mariah May segment, then jump to another hour of wrestling.
That would have threw me off though. Like that would have tipped me off when the fucking main event bell starts ringing at 7:00. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes. That's one of the things I wish they would have done, because when they announced only 3 matches earlier, I was just like, okay, they're going to add more, right? And then as the match progresses, I'm like, so this is why they did announce things. And I don't know, I like that little touch where they cut, quote unquote, cut matches, but then it's just like, oh, we'll go to Collision, go to Rampage.
I thought as the match went on for the first, 20 minutes in, and I think Will Ospreay had like just started selling his arm, and I was like, oh. We're going to commercial, and I was like, "Oh, we're about to be here for a long time." Kudos, though, they kept me engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
If I said this wasn't my favorite 1 hour match in AEW, I don't want people to get mad at me about that. They've done a few 1 hour matches in AEW now. The Brian Hangman, the FTR. Bullet Club Gold, MJF and Cole. This was better than MJF Adam Cole. I didn't think it was better than the other 2 hour-long matches that they did. I thought it was just fine. I had a fine time. It was great. It was an hour. I've seen a lot of people saying this was the best match in Dynamite history. And I don't fault you for that, especially if you really enjoyed this. I felt like MJF really made Will Ospreay slow down, and that's not a bad thing. That's something that people. This is what's interesting to me. In my head, this is gonna sound crazy. I thought this is what Will Ospreay looks like in WWE, and that's not a bad thing. This is what it looks like when somebody slows your ass down. We're telling this story tonight.
Dude, you know what the craziest thing was? In my notes I have here, I wrote down, I like how the action slowed down following a crescendo during the picture-in-picture parts. This is the one thing I want to see more of from AEW. Let guys catch their breath, but also where the audience has a chance to let everything sink in.
And I swear that was MJF influence.
That feels like it. And MJF is such like a proverbial showman. He is a WWE guy through and through who never has been there.
I thought that it was the reaction after the match was really interesting, because as I thought that about Will Ospreay, something I noticed was that all of the WWE fans really liked this match, and none of them had anything bad to say. And I was like, "Oh,
that's
shit.
True, actually."
I was like, "Oh shit! What kind of math magic? Like, what did we just find? Like,
Bizarro Land.
They have to, not even Bizarro Land, but just like somebody needs to cultivate this energy, find out what happened here, and maybe sprinkle some of that around other things." because that's the kind of attention you want on matches like this. AEW, when Bryan and Hangman had one of the best 1 hour matches I've ever seen on TV, and you had so many weird takes from people like that. And this match I thought was not as good as that one, and this one was like almost universally praised by both sides. So that kind of says there's something to what people are saying about slowing things down and letting things breathe.
Which I feel like, some of that was by design, just so they don't go through zoom during a 1 hour match. So they don't maintain a pace. And I think that's something they need to really emphasize for, 15, 20-minute matches even, because it was nice to have those moments where fans can look at this and, okay, now I can digest what just happened, and now they're on to the next thing. Because that's something WWE does extremely well. And I started cracking up because I love when Will Ospreay grabs MJF's hand with his dad reflexes.
It's such a subtle 1 second thing too. You see it though. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait a minute.
No, I wanted to pull up some of the other stuff because it was honestly a really great match. This was great. I really love this. I had a lot of fun. This is why I like AEW. They do 1 hour matches on TV.
Exactly. Like they said, like with the Ibushi and Ricochet moments where it's the MJF Ospreay thing where anything you can do, I can do better, bro.
There's also the Cody Cutter, which I thought was not the Cody Cutter, the stupid Cody Crossroads, because Cody uses the Oz Cutter. I thought I've been waiting for him to do this. I wanted him to put this in his moveset. Just because Cody took the Oz Cutter so blatantly. And it's a funny thing. I think he said it before, I take a move from people that I respect. Something like that.
Well, that was another one of the Sting moments where MJF gets Ospreay, I think it was, into the form for the Crossroads, but he did it by grabbing the hair, kind of like a Scorpion Death Drop would be.
There was also the callback to basically MJF and Cody Rhodes' relationship at the beginning of AEW. MJF was his mentor. They had a mentor relationship. Protege. There you go. That's the word. It was escaping me. This was awesome too.
Don't worry.
I love this. This actually, if I had a problem with this match, it's that we worked this arm thing for 60 minutes, and MJF has an arm finisher. He uses the salt of the earth. What the fuck? Where was it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Why would he not use his salt of the earth finisher? I actually told people, okay, I see where this is going. MJF is gonna they're gonna finish it with that salt of the earth, the armbar. It never fucking happened.
Not one time.
I was so why did we? So what? I guess we were just giving the unstoppable Will Ospreay a kink in his armor. Then, we're just making it so that he had a reason why he lost. That's a little less substantial, but okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, overall though, there's always that fear I have as a match goes a long period of time, and a lot of it comes from those other times that we've seen, either where a wrestler has wrestled multiple times in a single night or goes through a very long match. Where just as they do more power moves and lift each other up, it becomes much more likely that you're going to potentially botch and make a mistake that could hurt somebody. So that was always a worry for me, and it was crazy that it seemed like both guys got their second wind at the same time, because there's no struggle or anything with lifting each other up in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was just kind of scrolling through here. I'm seeing a variety of reactions to it. Like I said, I thought it was great. I see it being, that's my boy Sid. I love Sid.
Hey, shout out.
True Heel Heat. Yeah, this is one of the best TV matches he's seen all year, but also one of the greatest Dynamite matches in the show's 5-year history. I think any 60-minute match that doesn't bore you is worth that kind of praise. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I also
art form to maintain that.
No, 100%. If you can have the 60-minute match and successfully, then you're a fucking excellent wrestler. I've seen bad 60-minute matches. I was shout out Danny Reisner. Me and him, I can't remember the name of the ROH pay-per-view, but we were watching it together when I lived in Ohio, and it was Matt Taven versus Jay Lethal. And
that tells me all I need to know.
And the match starts, and we're about 15 minutes in, and we're looking at each other like, they're not pacing this to go 60 minutes, are they? Like, no way. Like, please, no. And sure enough, that was rough. So, yeah, I was never bored watching this match. This was awesome.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Ospreay wearing his Hayabusa tribute attire minus the mask?
Is. Yes, he is. He's been wearing it for the past few weeks. He reminds me of when Penta got the Joker gear and he couldn't stop wearing it. He was like, "This is awesome. I love the Joker."
Yo, as someone who is such a huge Hayabusa mark, I am 100% okay with Ospreay continuing to wear it.
I didn't notice Ospreay took that bump. He fucking sold it. He sold it like death. That's excellent.
The moment the timer hit 5 seconds remaining and I saw the ref count, I'm like, no, you should have waited one more second.
This is it. This is right here. This is great. The cage match ratings for MJF Ospreay are similar to my timeline. 1-0, 10-0, 1-0, 10-0, 1-0. Like, you either loved it or hated it.
There's no in between there.
That's just funny because I'm in between. I loved it, but I had a great time. Anyway,
I'm very OCD myself. And like you said, with like Lethal and Taven, there's only so much I can handle with long matches to where, like, if it doesn't hold my attention the whole way through, I'm not going to care. I'm going to stop caring. I'm going to pay attention to something else that's going on or look at my phone. This whole match through and through from minute 1 to minute 60, I loved every single second of it. Is it the greatest AEW match of all time? I don't really think so. I don't even know if it hits the top 5, maybe top 10. I'll need to sleep on it, but it was it was a great match though for recent AEW memory at least.
It's great. One of the better matches they've had all year.
Yeah.
MJF is a nut. What the fuck was he thinking? Why did he do this again? Stop doing this fucking move. He has a giant ass bruise on his leg after too.
It makes me think back to when the announce table broke prematurely, which happens to 1 out of every 6 announce tables, by the way. And he jumped through just like the remainder angled up against the railing and hurt himself in the process.
Actually, I'll never forget that because it scared the shit out of me.
Why? Thinking?
Why? That's that adrenaline. Fuck that. I'm not letting this table embarrass me thing.
Dude, the Styles Clash moment too.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Styles Clash is always scary ever since there was that consistent run where people were breaking their necks in like 2015 or so.
This is my favorite moment in the match, actually.
The camera work was amazing for that.
Yeah, shit. I love it. So, Caesar, you have any thoughts about this?
Honestly, you guys have basically said most of the things I could say. If the match could keep my attention span going for a whole hour, my hat's off to you. I'm just surprised that I don't know how long was into the match, but it was like 20 minutes in. They did a picture-in-picture, but it didn't go to picture-in-picture, and I was like, okay, I'll sit and watch instead of going to grab a drink quickly. So that was awesome. But other than that,
did that happen? I didn't know that happened.
Was that the moment you texted?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we're going to picture-in-picture. This is cool," and it never went. And I was like, "Shit!"
Because on my end they did, and I was just like, "Okay, now I can get my drink."
Usually, what happens is when the picture-in-picture happens, I get a little bit salty, and I go to drink a water or something like that, and come back. It didn't happen, so I was like, "All right, I have my water. Just keep watching." So I was happy.
You got the fight experience, Caesar. That's how
I'm saying. I'm happy.
That's how you should all get AEW Plus on Fight if you enjoy AEW.
I didn't feel like a code or something.
It's worth it.
I have it. I love it. I just always forget to sign into it, and then it's like, oh crap, I gotta turn it on now.
You goof.
Wait, did I even get that in Canada?
Yeah. If not, use the fucking VPN. We don't get that in the US.
We have a VPN?
If you really want a good VPN, Caesar, let me tell you, just go to the Dirt Sheet Radio website at comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio and scroll down to the very bottom of the page, because when you go there, you're going to be getting 72% off your first month when you buy a whole year of NordVPN. You want to know what the best part about it is, Caesar? You want to know the best part? You will be able to protect every single aspect of your virtual existence online. No one's going to be tracking you. You want to make sure you stay away from those Canadian Mounties, Caesar. You will be able to watch all the pro wrestling you want, and the Mounties won't know a single thing. I was just going to say,
bribe them and give them coffee. To Morton specifically.
Do they like that?
Yeah, they're Mounties.
We'll hang out with my buddy Kozar and drink another Canadian lager.
So I mean, shit. This pretty much makes me wonder about the trajectory going forward. Will Ospreay doesn't have this belt. Is he Are we doing this match again? I don't feel like we're doing this match again this summer. I think if we were going to do this match again this summer, then we would have had the draw finish. Which kudos to taking it to 59 seconds and 58. 59 minutes and 58 seconds. And not doing the draw.
The ref should have waited 1 second so they could be 59-59.
I got a question for you guys. Does this mean that a certain high flyer might be debuting soon?
I think it does. I think that's why they got the belt off Ospreay. But see, I really thought they would do this match at Wembley. I swore this was the Wembley match, MJF versus Ospreay. If they had done this match in front of 50,000 people, the atmosphere would have been different. It would have added a different layer to this. I think I might have even been singing the same praises as everybody else. It feels like we pivoted, and because Ricochet became available, like, oh shit, we can do Will Ospreay versus Ricochet.
You want that, bro? I can picture Tony Khan being like, "Hey, Will, so we got this free agent here, bro. Would you want to do this? Maybe you want a Ricochet, huh?"
I imagine it was Will Ospreay's idea.
Bro, I want to wrestle him.
Hey, bro, want to wrestle my boy? I can't do it. I feel like I'm not ready for a British accent right now.
you might know him.
Anyway,
we appreciate too. One of the moments, sorry to interrupt you, John, is just like thinking about how we went from, how the story of All In with basically the whole creation of AEW, right? Just imagine how cool that is for another Ricochet and Ospreay match to potentially happen there, because those two guys put each other on the map when they were both going viral for their sequences. And that was one of the truly great moments in internet wrestling history, because those two guys put a lot of effort of the outside of WWE bubble onto the social media scene, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. There's something about internet wrestling history that I don't think a lot of people appreciate or understand yet, because there's still a lot of old influence from older people who still have a lot of, like I said, influence. So we were on the internet, though.
Yeah.
These things, the first All In was the culmination of that 20 years of that culture growing and growing and growing. And AEW's continued existence is basically rocketed off of that, like the way a spaceship works. You get those first fuel, you get those first rockets and they fall off, but it's still going in space. Ricochet and Will Ospreay, definitely a huge thing that happened at All In, and it's a big historic moment. So that probably means Ospreay, Ricochet, MJF, and Garcia. I mean, right? That's the clear trajectory. Daniel Garcia finally gets his big AEW moment in front of 50,000 people.
And for a belt.
Over MJF. They're both New Yorkers. They're friends. It's for a belt. They could do the confetti thing. His mom, he'll do the dance.
They'll be crying. There'll be champagne.
It's a WrestleMania moment without having to be at WrestleMania.
Please, Tony. There's one thing I want. Maybe second to Christian Cage coming out to the actual My Last Breath by Evanescence, but that's just a matter.
That's gotta happen once. God damn.
Please. Oh, if that happens at All In, that'd be so cool. But no, I want to have the apology that we all deserve and have a match with Emi Sakura where she can come out to Queen. Please and thank you. Send Sony that money, Tony.
You know what? I don't think Evanescence will do it. I think they'll take offense to the fact that they used a ripoff all these years. And they're going to be like, you could have paid us. This is money that we didn't. We didn't have. Oh wait, no. TNA was doing it. It wasn't. Oh,
It was.
uh,
This is where Tony has the opportunity to plead ignorance here.
we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all I can say right now. Anyway, great match. MJF as champion will be fun. Will be fun if they're going right into the Daniel Garcia thing, which is kind of what they said. Kind of how he referenced Daniel Garcia a couple times during the match. He did the old dance. He humped Ospreay's face
He
on
did
the
do that,
turnbuckle.
didn't he?
Yes, he did. Wrestling, folks, you gotta love it.
Which, apart from those like regular like gimmicks like trophies and diamond rings, isn't this MJF's second championship in WWE or AEW? Sorry.
Yeah,
Third.
it is third. Well, if you count the Dynamite
Singles.
diamond ring.
I was saying aside from those things.
If you're counting singles or all.
Tag. Yeah, he was a Ring of Honor tag champion.
That's right. He was Ring of Honor tag champ.
Tag champ, world champ, international champ.
But guys, Ring of Honor is not AEW.
Ooh. And it's like
Liar.
Why do I kind of like the idea of MJF doing the opposite of what he was known for? You know, how he's just like, I wrestle once a quarter and that's it. But with the international title, I kind of like the idea of him doing his own international open challenge every week to where he's just like, and this is me proving why I am better than every single one of you.
That was so crazy that they used to do that. Like, I wrestle once a quarter. Like, how did they get away with that? They were paying him the whole fucking time.
MJF knows what he's doing, and I respect that hustle.
You pitch that, like, and then I don't wrestle a lot at all, actually. For like once every 4 months.
Wow, Max, I love that. Let's do that.
Anyway,
Thanks, Tony, you mark.
there's literally nothing else I can say about this match. Ospreay is great. MJF is great. Can't wait to see what the rest of the summer brings. What the fuck happened next?
After this, we had the Acclaim joining Team AEW in Blood and Guts, and then after that, it was the Learning Tree. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Here comes the branches.
That itself was very fun. You had Chris Jericho coming out with the cool bounty hunter bad apple himself, Brian Keith, and we appreciate too. I love the way Brian Keith dresses and his whole like cowboy Southern brawler getup. I enjoy that.
I love how his arm is getting better.
Absolutely. The Giant Redwood and Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree himself, not wearing anything underneath their sport jackets. Meanwhile, Brian Keith only has a vest and no sport jacket, period.
And a tank top. But Suzuki came out. The people didn't know the music. They didn't really react.
Suzuki, like 5 times at least, had to go to everyone in the crowd and be like, come on, get up.
I was concerned because he had just had a episode where he had a concussion and he was unconscious and he had to go to the hospital mid-match, and he came out, and I think he's wrestled since then. But I'm like, man, can we send him home? Like, can he go home?
Especially for a guy that's wrestled as long as he has and competed in combat sports as long as he has.
Around the world, too.
Yeah.
I don't want to see somebody die in the ring.
Can you imagine if he wins next week?
I mean, that shit. He probably won't, but they did have to close that. They did have to close that loop up. They did have Suzuki challenge Jericho the week before the pay-per-view, Forbidden Door. So I guess this was coming, and doing it at Blood and Guts makes sense. Dynamite 250, Blood and Guts. There's a lot of big AEWs, Dynamites lately.
It's true. Which it feels old school again, and I'm digging it.
I really enjoyed this fucking show, man.
Remember back when we had like, you knew like July was when you'd get like a week or two of Fighter Fest, and then you get like Fight for the Fallen.
Oh man, what was it? What was it? Fighter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, Road Rager.
Yeah, Road Rager.
No.
Yeah, Beach Break. Beach Break was one of them.
Yeah.
They do it in February, but
remember that. You gotta take a break to go to the beach because in February it's a little cool, it's a little chilly.
Actually, if you're in Canada, it's different.
I got to go to a Fighter Fest I got to go to one of the Dynamites after AEW first came back after COVID. It was the second one, unfortunately. I didn't get to be at the one where they did Hangman. They did the Dark Order versus the Elite. That was the next week. That was fun. I got to be there when they challenged each other. So that was cool. It felt big. Good times.
Right. Oh, which one was it? I'm just flashing back to more Dynamite best of hits, which we can look at again later. I love the idea. What is AEW's relationship with MLW?
I don't think they have any.
Isn't?
Because I know some of their guys came from in like the early years from their MLW backgrounds. Because I'm thinking if they somehow open the doors with some kind of partnership, it would be kind of fun for Suzuki to be backed up by Contra.
Yeah, I don't know if that's canon in AEW. I feel like the MLW stuff they just don't touch. I really like MJF when they got MJF, and he suggested a lot of people that he knew in MLW, and then that's the extent of that. I don't know that Court Bauer and Tony Khan ever had a relationship. I wonder if they don't like each other.
I was going to say, isn't MLW kind of working with WWE now?
Oh no! No, they sued WWE. They sued them because WWE got them kicked off of the fucking what was that streaming thing that Fox had?
I know what you're talking about.
Wasn't Tubi? Is it Tubi?
Yeah.
So stupid, Dave.
Was it? Yeah, it was Tubi. The antitrust lawsuit about Tubi.
They got MLW kicked off with Tubi because I guess Fox owns it, and Fox was in a relationship with WWE, and there's like record of Stephanie McMahon, I guess, telling them directly like get this shit off. Anyway, WWE had to pay MLW like millions of dollars. They didn't have to. They settled with them so that they wouldn't have to pay them more. But you know how that goes.
This is what happens in the post McDivitt world. They settle a lot more.
That's probably what he's saying.
Poor Nick Khan. He's probably crying in his office.
I don't know how any of this works. No, he's really good.
I was thinking, I dig the idea of a Contra to be backing up Suzuki in an AEW. I like that kind of mercenary quality that they bring to the table. For those who don't know, in MLW they have a group called Contra Unit, and they are basically mercenaries for hire. Yeah, they have a kind of Middle Eastern undertone to them.
They're like they ripped off the what's it called, the 10 rings from Iron Man, the Mandarin.
I just like too. They got the giant German, and I would love to see Mads Kruger versus Killswitch.
Oh, that'd be sick.
The Killswitchosaurus. Me.
People just be putting hashtag AEW Dynamite just to be who the fuck is this?
Is that their announcer?
And then look at the Sims.
Is that the interviewer?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, it is. I don't even recognize her. I don't.
They have a few new interviewers that I do not recognize because there was the other one too that was on Collision.
Huh? And I know Alicia Tout, right? I know her because she was in MLW and she was in early AEW. She was there like year one. I don't think she's very good at her job, but I don't think they do either because she's on the internet and not on TV. She was on TV today for a second with an internet clip where with that promo from Bullet Club Gold, Bang Bang Gang. But what did we follow? What was next?
Following the learning tree and Suzuki giving everyone the bye guys at the very end of the segment, which was fun.
Bye guys.
I enjoyed that immensely.
Elite.
We had the Elite being met backstage by the CEO, EVPs, the CEOs uniting. The amazing moment that we have Okada totally not being a simp. No sympathy from Okada.
He is like when he asked them for the dance, I was already fucking dying.
He whispered to Matthew.
The fact that he stayed together for that was even funnier. Like he was ready to go like.
Anyway, great stuff. Another great moment from Okada. Like I said, these are great moments. I just don't feel like they have any forward momentum right now. No plot development. No real things happening. with the Elite versus Team AEW? Like, what happened to the story element? What happened to the thing about Tony Khan getting kicked out, Jack Perry? You know, it started off really strong.
Which it almost feels like that should have been the way they got into Blood and Guts, where Tony Khan's like, you guys want to do this to me? Look what I'm about to do to you. It's going to be time for you guys to be locked in blood and guts.
We'll see. We should have seen.
But that makes too much sense. It probably would have been too cool.
Yeah. But I guess the match was after that, right?
Yep. And then we had Mercedes Moné defending the title up against Nyla Rose. Nyla with the memeable moment during the match.
Have you lost your mind?
Full like Stanley Hudson on that. I loved it. And we got to the moment at the very end where another Sting reference. We had the Sting mask where I can't believe it. Mercedes Moné goes up to a fan, but it's not a fan. Did you guys know? It's Sting! Sting is back and is a heel and is attacking a woman. That is crazy. It's Sting. No, I'm just kidding. It was Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
That was a cool moment. As soon as I saw the Sting mask, I knew it was about to go down.
You knew what it was going to be.
I definitely did. It's a great gag. It's a great gag. I love that it's going to keep happening forever. God, shirts suck. Wrestling shirts suck. All wrestling shirts suck.
I feel like the very first shirts in AEW's history in 2019 looked so cool.
Yeah, well, the first couple. I feel like once we... even before AEW, when they did the Elite variant shirts and everybody had one, remember there was the American Nightmare and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and I was already over it. I was already over it.
Remember when they released the Chicago flag variants of them and everyone's like, does that mean CM Punk's coming?
Sir,
I gotta wait a couple years.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Ouch.
Yikes. Anyway. Yeah.
After that, we had Jack Perry not caring about Brandon Cutler, and then the complete forgetfulness that is the Boiler Room, and then Mariah May being timeless herself. I feel like a lot of people in the audience of Arkansas thought that was Toni Storm.
Dude, I thought it was too. I'll admit to it.
For a second. I mean, but when she came out, I knew... Like, I didn't think about it for the first couple of seconds, and then I thought, it's not Toni Storm. That's great. And then, of course, it wasn't, because we've been watching wrestling for too damn long. It ruins everything for you.
Speaking of Tony's, Tony Schiavone got a little too silly during this segment.
That was fucking great. That was excellent. Let me get the audio on that shit.
Let's get it.
Oh, speak, bitch. Come on now. Oh my God, Schiavone. What is wrong with you?
Oh, Schiavone. I love crotchety old man Schiavone.
He's fucking great. Anyway,
that's probably the biggest meme of the night.
That's going to be everywhere.
It's one of the best moments in AEW history. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, no.
So great.
Mariah May in this gear, really, this is amazing. She's great.
That was
great.
Perfect shot.
What did but basically she says, she was okay. She was content with letting this relationship with Toni Storm play out until she had to take her out back like Old Yeller. But Wembley Stadium came into view. And she saw her opportunity. She took it. She said Toni Storm's best role was being on her knees, bleeding in front of Mariah May, while she was worried or blinded by her own superstardom. She was giving it all away, or something like that, to that effect. I don't remember it. Stardom. Anyway, Toni Storm will probably be back soon, and she'll kill Mariah May. I kind of want to. I don't. This does play out the gimmick all the way in that she has stolen Toni Storm's everything. But I wanted to see Mariah May back to her old the theme song that Mikey Ruckus made her. And she said she wanted it to be a Pokemon gym theme. And that's what she told Mikey Ruckus, and he did his best. And I thought, wow, that does sound like a Pokemon gym theme. I kind of wanted to use it again just because I like the origin. But
I like that. That's good.
But yeah, this was great. What did you guys think of this?
Now, I couldn't tell on the Contron graphic. Was that Mariah May in the Toni Storm pose, or was that still Toni Storm? Like, I know at first it was Toni Storm, but I think later on, when she's doing the promo, they changed it.
Okay,
Tron?
because here it's
Tron.
Toni. Here it's Toni.
I think later it becomes something else. I think it becomes Mariah May later.
No, I could have sworn I'd seen the same person, but I'll admit I'm wrong.
I'm trying to look for it, but we'll see. We'll see. We will see next week when she comes out if it changed, because she'll probably use the new one. That's great.
They called her glamorous Mariah May tonight. You guys notice that?
I did not.
Like twice they said that at most.
Tony, excuse me. It was reported earlier, I guess, or not reported, but I guess Tony Khan mentioned in an interview that it was RJ City who helped them come up with this. As RJ is the one who had seen the film. What is it all about? Fuck me, I forgot the name of the movie, but the film that inspired this storyline. He was basically the one who helped them turn this into a wrestling story. I wonder if he does creative. That kind of sounds like he's on the creative team.
That reminds me of, or could it be like the thing where Scott Hall makes the suggestion for Crowsting?
That's true too, but I'm thinking of like he's really. Have you watched the AEW stuff on YouTube? Any of those interviews? They're like AEW's version of the Eric Andre show. It's very fucking funny.
I've seen a few of them, not much.
Just awkward comedy where you kind of make people who don't. Some wrestlers, especially the international ones, who don't really understand the gimmick. They're like, it makes it even better.
There was one where like RJ read a comment about something about like someone wants to date Mariah May, but they couldn't because they have autism, and Mariah just breaks out laughing. Or something along those lines. I was like, whoa. No,
it's a great show, and that kind of, I'd like to see that kind of mind in the creative room. So if he is on creative, that's great. Look at the kind of stuff. This is one of the best stories in AEW right now.
Oh,
it's okay. He'll come back someday.
Fell down.
I'm back.
Perfect. You should have been there all along.
I guess he wants the full screen on the bottom.
Guns. You can't take out guns on screen right now. This is
guns.
Oh
and
God! Put those away. This is such a contentious moment in history right now.
We're being
just
canceled
taking your
because
guns out, putting them on screen. They're so big.
You have a permit.
Fellas.
You have a permit.
How dare you?
I guess we should have to leave these at the door.
But yeah. No shit. I love Mariah May. I tell people all the time I've been following her for a little bit longer than others because
literally
by accident, like literally by coincidence. But oh shit, there it is! It's official. Darby Allen, Team AEW. As if it didn't make it. As if it wasn't. As if it wasn't obvious.
Right. Oh, that's a polar bear. I thought that was a tooth.
This is the Acclaimed. What the hell a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?
That'd be something.
Anyway, good shit.
Well, by that point, fellas, we made it through AEW Dynamite.
I'm scrolling for deals for Prime Day.
As you should. I got some stuff on Prime Day. Did you guys take advantage of that?
I did. We'll talk about it on the show. I'll talk about some stuff I bought.
Hey, was that Darby and Muertos?
Oh shit!
Did you get a ring light?
That's crazy. What?
That's gonna be such a cool match. I love Muertos. I'm glad they're featuring him more. And he feels like a Collision guy too.
This is awesome. I can't wait to see that.
That's gonna be a good match.
Well, shit.
I love the idea that the Elite want to unleash Muertos on Darby just to gore him right before Blood and Guts, just to destroy him. It's not about winning the match. It's about destroying Darby.
Destruction.
That's what they should do with it.
I'm interested in seeing the setup here because, like I said, it's a smaller building. It's like 2,500 people or something like that.
You can see the roof.
I gotta say, as someone that's watched some of those like esports tournaments, those esports arenas have a lot of real cool things to them when it comes to just pure LED presentation and lighting setup. Like they feel much bigger than they really are. So I think that's going to help AEW's presentation a lot.
That'll be fun.
At least the South Korean ones are like that. I don't know about America, Texas.
God damn it, Nick.
Specifically.
I gotta give a shout out to my boys T1. Whoa! Make sure T1 and Gen G gonna be dominating the LCK and Worlds 2024 for those of you who like League of Legends esports.
Oh, that's beautiful. I guess it is time though for our megastar jobber.
1 second, real quick before we get there, fellas. Because we had like a whole like hour 20 minutes, I wanted to throw out there because I just thought of another moment. Any moments or matches that stand out from the 250 episode history? Because we had a whole episode to kind of go over, and I was thinking of some more along the way.
Go ahead, give us what you got.
I think back to, one of the greatest end of the night segments I've ever seen because it was so ridiculous and I loved every second of it. Hangman Page unmasking as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, shit, yes.
That was such a fun moment. It would have been interesting if they were able to get the rights to do Squid Games they wanted to do originally?
I put ice in my mouth.
It's cold. But that was such a cool moment, and it was like, honestly, I feel like it was like the last time the Dark Order was like all the way up here in AEW,
Again, that the Elite versus the Dark Order match on Dynamite, it's another one of the biggest moments for me in AEW history. That entrance, that video that played with the Dark Order, you're a cowboy, everyone's a cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And that the entrance with the extra spotlight for Brody Lee, even though he wasn't on the stage. Excellent, crazy moment. The Elite coming out with the Space Jam entrance. Never forget.
Oh my God, I remember those.
God, peak
man.
Elite, peak. I love them. I knew what we had at the time. A lot of you motherfuckers didn't. I miss them though. All right. Anyway.
I also think back too to like Omega and Dante Martin and Dante having this big showing, and like it was so cool because all of a sudden it felt like Dante came in out of nowhere and became such a major part of AEW. This was when Darius was hurt too, I think.
Yeah, he has been a part of he's been a major part of the company ever since that moment. It kind of made him a name that people can recognize and use. As a matter of fact, check this shit out.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna. We'll let it play on the side while we talk. That's very cool. Darby and Beast Muertos had this match before actually. In PWG. That's gonna be very fucking fun. Anyway.
I was getting ready to ask him, like, was this a spoiler?
No, that'd be great, right? Imagine this is the building.
Because I was getting ready to say, like, okay, the building looks really cool.
No, I thought it was just clips, but it's actually the whole match. And I was like, I don't know if we can play that. But
John, I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of segments and matches to go over tonight.
Right? But I mean, we could just get right into the Megastar and Jobber.
I feel like we're all unanimous on the match of the night, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely the one match, the big one. It's definitely the hour one. MJF.
The whole first hour of the show.
The first half.
I don't even see the fucking graphic. Holy shit! It's not there. It's not there.
Did we not pop that back in?
I don't think we popped it back in. I apologize.
There's a few of these, so we can always look at our segment of the night brought to you by the Cold Case Project and my brother Tony. We had a lot of Tonys on the show, and I'm going to be telling you my brother Tony LaRocco runs the Cold Case Project on YouTube. If you like true crime, you like 2-hour, 30-minute content, it goes a whole wide range. If you want something to binge, it's right there for you. If you want something to just do a little quick dose of some cold cases, some true crime, go check out Cold Case Project. It's a channel that focuses on all kinds of disappearances, murders, and other cold cases.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
That was a lot to get out there. Went full Excalibur.
I always gotta wonder how to word the fact that I think that is a good thing to check out that show without thinking it's a good thing that people are missing.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it gets down to the aspect of true crime is fascinating in itself, and it's like a morbid way. And I think at the same time too, it makes a lot of stories that might have been thrown, under like people don't talk about it enough, or it's certain people's stories that just got lost for time or whatever reason, and it is a way to be able to know more about what has been going on and gets those back out there into the spotlight in its own way.
Absolutely. See, I couldn't come up with it. You're better than I am. But shit, Caesar, did you have a segment of the night that wasn't? I guess what was the only segment? The Mariah May segment, like the only.
I'm full stand on Mariah May's side. So
yeah,
that's all I've got. I was awesome to watch. I can't wait to see the match in a month. No, it's a month, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be interesting to see how the build-up goes. So I'm excited for that.
All right.
I had a different one actually.
Oh,
my
shit.
segment of the night: Mercedes and Okada.
Ah, hell yeah.
Had to go with it.
I'm down. I loved it. I posted that on my page because I loved it so fucking much.
It is great. All right, John, what's yours?
But yeah, shit. Now that you guys mentioned the only two, I will pick one of those. No, I guess I'll pick the only one that didn't get picked. I'll do Jack Perry beating up Brandon Cutler in the boiler room because nobody seems to give a fuck about Brandon Cutler. Brandon Cutler is a good jobber. He should be utilized more as enhancement talent. I wonder if he's retired or something.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I feel like he has been the occasional jobber on Ring of Honor.
No, you know what?
In a while.
I had a question. Why the fuck did why did the Bullet Club get stripped of the Trios championships?
You didn't hear about it?
And then they got given a championship match.
Right.
On Saturday. like, why didn't you just let them have it? Why is Christopher Daniels such an asshole to these men who haven't done anything to him?
Right. And it feels like that would have been a perfect moment for one of the elites to, come out and make that statement instead of Christopher Daniels.
It could have been a Freebird thing.
Right.
Which they've already defended through the Freebird rule. And one of my favorite things was whenever commentary or the ring announcer would say 1/4 of the Trios champions.
Isn't it 3/4 of the Trios champion, they say? Something like that.
And it's always like 1/4, and here's 3/4 of the Trios champions. And I love it's so dumb. I love it.
I can't math. That's too much.
So shit. Who, my friends, was your jobber of the night?
Brandon Cutler.
Powered by NordVPN.
Brandon Cutler. That's it.
Brandon Cutler. That's a good
thrown up
choice.
against. Just got completely his ass kicked in the back room in the boiler room of all places. So
No,
that's
an
easy one.
I dig it. I agree. Actually, I was gonna call him a jobber of the night for a good reason. Well, because I couldn't think of anybody else, and you jumped ahead of me and got that out of the way.
Yeah,
so.
I had to say that. I was ready to say it. So
yeah.
Yep. So 3 on the board for Brandon Cutler. There we go.
Brandon Cutler, the free space on a bingo card. All right.
Which it's great. Look at us, 2024, and one of these segments is being able to be completely won by Brandon Cutler.
Megastar of the night.
Brandon Cutler. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to give my Megastar of the night to Mariah May. I loved Mariah May.
Okay.
I love the promo. I love the way she looked as Toni Storm.
I'm
Glad to see her be the main focus of this story headed into Wembley Stadium. I'm sad that it couldn't be Jamie Hayter, but look at how far this has come. This is awesome for Mariah May, and she's such a great fucking wrestler. And to find out that Bryan Danielson is the one who brought her up to Tony Khan. Oh man,
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
that's awesome. When you impress Brian's watching Stardom, you know that, right? Because he's he's got the compliments from Mina, he's got the compliments from Mariah. He's watching Stardom. Absolutely.
I thought it was like a little bit of Brian, a little bit of Kenny that was checking out Stardom areas.
Kenny has Joshi connections.
Oh, there we go.
Period to
That
everything.
one,
Stardom, TJPW. He has connections to all the companies. He can talk to girls all the time through. He's like a liaison. Not like that. Especially Kenny. Especially Kenny.
Kenny is too pure to do anything like that.
Yeah. That's
he'd still try and talk to him to like bring him over though.
My megastar. So who's your megastar of the night, Nicholas?
You know, there were a lot of big stars on the 250th episode of AEW Dynamite, but you know who, in my opinion, is the one star who stood above them all, who stole the show, and will always look back at this and say that was one of the best moments. And I think this is a moment that will live on in this person's life forever. And that was
crazy.
That was the little girl that hit MJF.
Oh, okay,
awesome.
That's my megastar of the night. She stole the show. I am so happy for her. I am glad that she is going to have that moment for the rest of her life. And you know, it would be crazy if that is the moment where that is what made her go like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And then she ends up on AEW in like 20 years.
Plot twist. She'll be headlining Wembley against him in a revenge match. Remember that day in 2024?
That'd be awesome. I'm ready. I'm still waiting to see Izzy versus Mercedes Moné. That's gotta happen. She owes her for the bow. She owes her for throwing
that is true.
Bow.
That's valid.
But yeah, great stuff tonight, gentlemen. Did we all go? Did you go, Caesar?
Nope, because everyone's having these heart-to-heart moments here. And speaking of that, I'm gonna go with the man who carries a belt, doesn't defend as much on the wrong show, but is part of Team AEW, and that's Mark Briscoe.
Yeah,
you gotta love like his
choice.
aura. He's one of those guys that, like I said earlier, his promos those few weeks ago was weird, but you still listened. And then when he came out to the ring, he was ready to start throwing hands. And then, of course, when Darby came down from the rafters, he just grabbed the harness, unhooked it, and was like, "Go!" So it was something. Felt
also,
good.
can we appreciate the full circle moment where the last time we saw Darby was him also up in a cord being hung up like in the arena?
Oh God, yeah.
He kind of came down. It's funny because I don't know how it is to come down on a fucking rafter. I don't know if I even would do that, but
I would not.
But the way he came down was so funny. It was kind of like the SpongeBob at the end of the SpongeBob movie. Just kind of hanging. I laughed, but these are the moments that I think of when I'm smoking marijuana. No. Yeah, that's us, man. That was AEW Dynamite.
We did it.
We've plugged everything. We've done everything. We've talked about everything.
Oh,
that's pretty much it. Make sure that you're catching us every night of the week, first of all. But especially tonight or tomorrow morning if you're not a late night person. But if you're up at work, overnight job person,
hey,
you need someone to hang out with, come back. Come back. Come back.
Don't leave.
20 minutes.
We'll be here. We're going to be talking about pro wrestling in the middle of the night because that's what we do. That is what we do. I want to rework Dershi Radio a little bit. I'm like, should we
do it?
Dershi Radio as a whole, like if Dershi Radio as a whole is pro wrestling and pop culture, why are we only covering pro wrestling on the Dershi Radio flagship? I feel like we might have made a mistake.
You know, that is a good point.
But we'll talk about that. We'll always talk about pro wrestling. That's one thing. Pro wrestling is the core in my heart until I die. It's such a weird little thing.
Let the record show too. We've never been afraid of talking about literally anything that comes into our crazy brains on the flagship.
But at least people will know before they come on.
That's true. That's true.
Next episode, we do a baking episode.
Nick, myself, and Greg will be on later tonight. Maybe Nick. Maybe Nick might be up.
Hey, as long as we start it soon, I am okay.
He had coffee. He'll be awake.
I gotta go to work tomorrow too. I gotta be at work in 12
I gotta be up at 5 in the morning.
Well, I have 12 hours to get to work. It's just in time, just enough time.
Not to flex or anything, but
as long as I can be in bed between 2 and 3 tonight.
We're good.
You're like,
we got this. But
I should be in
yeah.
bed already.
Shit, make sure you catch us. I mean, every day of the week, not just me, not Nick, not just Caesar, but we have so many different
Let's
hosts
go.
and so many different
There's
shows.
a lot of us.
On Mondays, you got the Monday Night Raw post show. On Tuesdays, you got the crew doing NXT. Wednesdays, it's us talking about AEW Dynamite. Thursdays, you got Matt covering TNA Impact. And on Fridays, you got Nick, myself, and Mac and CJ and Malik and Brittany and whoever can show up when they can show up. It's a lot of people. I don't think we've all been on at the same time.
No.
I should just go up this Friday just cause.
Last week was Friday Nick Mac John.
That's right. That's right. But make sure you join us. We'll see. If you can make it, you can make it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks. Follow us. Like, subscribe. Send me money in the mail. I guess I don't think you're supposed to send
all of
money
us
in the mail. I don't think you're supposed to send money in the mail. Find my OnlyFans.